And a 3, and a 2, and a 1.
Take it away. Sorcerer Radio, SRSounds.com. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Disney Trip Tips Hour. I'm your host, Sandi Alexander, along with my wonderful
sidekick,
Michael. Yes, and we're going to continue our conversations of attractions, past and present, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But before we get to that, a few things I just want to talk about.
Get to the news.
Yes, from the Disney Trip Tips Facebook page. That happened last night at Walt Disney World, a fond farewell to the Wishes fireworks show. I mean, you know what? I always did tear up a little bit. When I used to watch that.
I did the first time until we took our daughter and she called Jiminy Cricket a liar.
Go ahead, tell them why.
Okay, so
brief.
Very brief. Okay, so we were on the Disney, whatever it is, transportation from the airport to the Wilderness Lodge.
The first time.
Right. And she was so excited she left her favorite stuffed golden shepherd, Shep.
You had gotten her that.
I had gotten that. Yes, she and I had gone on a special trip to get Shep in Berlin, Maryland. And she forgot it and left it on the
Magical Express.
That's it. Yeah, the Magical Express. That's what I was looking for.
Right.
She left it on the Magical Express, and
but we didn't realize it.
Well, whatever. That's what lost means.
Yeah.
Anyway, she didn't. She never found it. We went and we did everything else, and of course we went to Lost and Found, blah 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 blah, and we finally saw Wishes our last night there, and I looked back over at her, and she's sitting on the trolley line just crying.
Yeah.
And I said, Alexandra, what's wrong? She said, Jiminy Cricket's a liar. I said, why? Because wishes don't come true. All I wished for was Shep. And then so we spent the next day looking at all the other lost and founds. We never found Shep.
It did. Well, we tried to also placate her with, well, you know what?
That'll come later.
Okay. So I shouldn't say it?
No.
All right.
We'll get back to that later.
That was the story. Cut and dry. Also at the Disney Trip Tips Facebook page, from the Daily Mail, now listen to this. Walt's original Disneyland concept sketches were rediscovered. Apparently, a friend of an employee who used to work at Disneyland gave these sketches to this person. And this person has had them for so many years and I guess has decided to now sell them.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I think I mentioned this to you briefly the other night. What right did this employee have to give that away?
That's not the guy who has it's fault.
Well, no, it's not his fault. No, but I'm just saying that, it's
so
hard.
There's no point in getting mad at him. Gave it to him, he might as well cash in 50 years later.
Yeah. Disney legend Marty Sklar, he is still going strong. He knows a thing or two about being the best you can be, and he learned a lot from Walt Disney. There's an article on the Disney Trip Tips Facebook page, The Challenge of Being the Best That You Can Be with Marty Sklar. And all members, you could purchase tickets today at noon. I don't know if this is noon Pacific or noon Eastern time, but he still goes out and about. He signs things. That I would love to go out and do that.
Is he related to the Sklar brothers?
The Sklar? No, I don't know.
Who do that? They're like comedy. They did a comedy bit.
Oh,
they had an ESPN
you had asked me that. They kind of do look like him.
And then that's got to be a
We have to look that up.
Name,
well,
right?
Explain to them. Explain to the listeners who they are in case they don't know who they are. The Sklar brothers.
They're comedy team. Okay.
Yeah.
They're in a Burger King commercial.
I haven't seen that one.
One's saying that the Whopper $10 Whopper meal is better than the chicken nuggets, and obviously he's wrong, and one needs glasses, the other doesn't, blah. Anyway, mildly famous.
Wow.
Speaking of which, did you see I turned the curtain around?
Yes, I did. It looks really great
so
in here.
the inside is on the inside. You know why?
Why?
Because Walt said, don't spend money on things people can't see.
That is so true. Michael, how did you ever remember that? God, you are so good. Happening at the Walt Disney Museum Saturday, September 9th at 4 p.m. $20 for members, $15 for students and youth members, $30 for non-members, and $25 for students and youth non-members at the ILM Theater at the Walt Disney Family Museum. Again, it is the challenge of being the best that you can be with Marty Sklar. I'll talk more about that as the time approaches. But now, continuing our conversations. What did we call this last week? I forgot already. The past and present of Disney
Ride
reviews. Ride reviews and how they came to be, right?
No, I made that up. No.
Okay, but one of the things that you had mentioned last week we're going to be chatting about...
Space Mountain.
Okay, Martin. And as we were talking about last week, that book that I love, John Hench's Designing Disney, they had the rocket ship that is still out at Disneyland. Now, Rocket to the Moon, it was presented by TWA. And of course, you can't get in it, but, it was amazing the space races that were going on at that time. People were getting the idea in the latter part of the 50s. As we know, the Russians, the U.S., who was going to make it to the moon. Okay?
Yes.
So,
much to Woody's disdain. right?
Yes, much to what he's
saying. The Western theme was going out, and in come the
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, the Buzz Lightyears and the spacemen, and poor
right.
Yeah.
So coming
Maybe
back,
we shouldn't even do this because now I feel bad. We should do.
Don't feel bad. We'll do something about Frontierland.
Okay.
This is information courtesy of yesterland.com, which I do love this website. You do get to fly around the backside of the moon. Along the way, you learn interesting facts about the moon and the planets. It was a film. Soon you would be heading back to Earth. After you turn around, you see that your destination on the floor screen, and you prepare to land. It was an interesting story. Rocket to the Moon at Yesterland. It opened in 1955. TWA, which is no longer in existence as the mid-90s, sponsored the attraction until 1961. The red and white TWA Moonliner stood at the entrance to a show building with two identical round theaters. Douglas Aircraft sponsored Rocket to the Moon from 1962 until 1966. And in 67, as part of the new Tomorrowland, the attraction became Flight to the Moon. And that was presented by McDonnell Douglas, featuring new larger show building and audio animatronics. Now, this is all getting around where finally, towards Walt Disney World, all of a sudden, the Flight to the Moon became Mission to Mars. And that's another one of the attractions that we'll talk about in future.
That one's a long way away.
Yeah,
let's just get our first space one out of the way here.
Right. But I'm not saying any more about it. I'm just saying to you that is where all the transformation came to be. But then Mission to Mars did close its doors in November of 1992. So now I'm just preparing everybody for what we're talking about.
None of that has anything to do with...
Just a minute. Space Mountain is in there.
But,
okay?
I know, but Space Mountain was not an addendum to Mission to Mars. It was designed to be another thrill ride, the Matterhorn. So I don't even understand what the little film...
Well, I was just saying that how space was always in the back of their minds. They wanted to do this, and that was one of the first things. And as Michael said, Space Mountain, again, where it says in this book, The Hidden Magic of Walt Disney World, that space travel remained very much in the public consciousness, though travel to the moon had lost some of its mystique. So, getting on to, now you had said Space Mountain, it did launch on January 15th, 1975, but what have you got?
Spaceport 75.
Oh, there you go.
All right, all these links will be in the show notes on the YouTubes. It first opened in 75. There are versions in all 5 Disneyland type parks. So there's one in Disneyland, there's one in the Magic Kingdom, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and Hong Kong Disneyland. Mm-hmm. They got the go-ahead from Walt due to the success of the Matterhorn. It was basically the only thrill ride in the original Disneyland, and it was probably the most sought-after ride for fathers in their crisp shirts and ties, mothers in their dresses, as was wont to wear to Disneyland in 1950 whatever.
And who was one of the original wed designers? What is the name? I just read it here.
Mr. Hench.
Mr. Hench.
Yes,
that's right.
Well, he definitely did the first sketch, and you see that on all the books. The sketch that basically, is amazing. It pretty much looks like that in actuality. That they got the go-ahead to start designing it, and then technology wasn't quite up to the challenge of creating an indoor roller coaster with 4 tracks and other visual effects that they were trying to go for, so it got scrapped.
Briefly read about something. Walt wanted this, because this was built after him, after he passed. He wanted a dark roller coaster. He wanted people to experience
the Matterhorn was sort of dark and sort of not, but the point is it got scrapped because technology was not up to the challenge. Mm-hmm. And so when they finished building Disney World, they decided at some point they needed a Matterhorn type ride, because they didn't have Splash Mountain then, they didn't have Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. All they had was the same rinky-dink rides that you would find in Fantasyland, with the exception of they didn't have a main monster hit. Decided to bring back the idea of Space Mountain and went ahead and built it in... they were going to do a Matterhorn, but they didn't have enough room in Fantasyland, in Walt Disney World. So, RCA was the original sponsor. FedEx took over in 1993. There are 4 elements to the ride. There's the queue, and I have a question about this, and because this is early in the series, we haven't gotten to that, but it seems to me that this is the first ride to feature an entertaining queue.
Now.
So even then you went through a spaceport, you went down, I'll talk to you about it in a minute, but even then, the queue, the walk, because it was built outside of the Magic Kingdom proper, they had to build a tube to get over to it.
Okay.
And in that tube was where they had the RCA promotional materials and scenes of astronauts doing things, and all kinds of different stuff that kind of like today, you still walk a long way from the entrance of the ride to get to the main queuing area.
Well, they have the windows that you can look into that have like what looks like a satellite floating in space.
Yep.
Right, there's an
Right, there's
astronaut
a control center, all kinds of stuff there. So it has the queue, it has the ride itself, it has the post-ride, and then it has the store.
And the store.
There are many websites that go into a lot of depth about Space Mountain. You could do show after show on it, and they don't cut up the 4 elements that way. I did, just because that store was where we found Pluto, and Pluto was the replacement for Shep. Right. Mm-hmm. On that first trip when we lost it, we found Pluto in one of the racks that goes up and up and up. It's tiered, right? And there are big Plutos at the bottom, medium Plutos, and then there was a Pluto, a medium Pluto, just about the same size as Shep, and it was the one she wanted. And I remember I didn't have money, or she hadn't made up her mind, but it was that one, right? Of all the identical Plutos, that's the one she wanted. So I took it and I folded its paws a certain way, and I put it on the top shelf, and that's how we knew where it was when we came back to buy it.
So you sort of hit it, but you knew
sort
where it was.
Sort of hit it, but it was still in the same display.
Right. Well, now you have to tell everybody what I used to say.
What you used to say
about with Shep. I said, well, you know what? I said, maybe Shep doesn't want to be found, and Shep is just riding around on one of the buses and just enjoying Walt Disney World until she comes back again. And that sort of not placated her, but it sort of placated me because we did feel so bad. She couldn't find the dog.
Until she called Jiminy a liar.
Yeah. Well, real quick, before you go back in, I just want to mention a couple other things, because the way the books talk about how the attractions came to be. Look at the uniforms. I'll have to post this picture for you. The uniforms, they look like candy stripers from a hospital or
70s
something.
There.
Yeah, definitely. They were orange colored pants and like this. It looks like a candy striper thing from the hospital. White shirt, Peter Pan collar with black shoes. Now the outfit is this.
Or a member of Up With People.
That's it. That's what they look like, members of Up With People. If you people remember Up With People. Now the uniforms, of course, are the blue pants, black shoes, and the white shirt with the blue stripes. So a kind of a retro space age looking type of outfit. So he doesn't look very happy.
The cursor there, you're getting quite.
No, it's okay. I'm just saying that.
I know what those bits and pieces you were pointing at.
Okay, you had to take it down that road.
I didn't take.
Anyway, so go on what you were
Mine's
talking
on a
about.
Picture of Walt. Okay, so the original pre-show had a plaque at the entrance, and it said, "One giant step dedicated to the men and women whose skills, sacrifice, courage, and teamwork opened the door to the exploration of man's exciting new frontier, outer space. Because they dared to reach the stars and the planets, man's knowledge of his universe, Earth, and himself has been greatly enriched, presented by missile, space, and range pioneers."
And dated January 15th, 1975.
Right, and many of and I'm drawing a blank here, what was the pre-Apollo? The Mercury astronauts were there.
Oh, wow.
All of them were there except for Gus, who unfortunately passed
Gus Grisham.
in the testing.
I bet that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
there.
Exactly. I couldn't find any pictures of that. There are a lot of pictures of how it was constructed on the internet. When we first had done it, one of the fun things was looking at there's some pictures of it with the lights on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Well, with the lights on, and you and I had discussed this, because Sandi grew up near an amusement park in Maryland, and the Mighty Mouse.
God.
It's a lot like that.
Tick, 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 tick. That's what you would hear.
Right.
Because the car was climbing.
Well, and if they just did, prepare for takeoff, and then flash lights around you, it'd almost be the same ride. So that was the original, opening day thing. And then the riders would descend on a moving ramp with scenes of the astronauts repairing a satellite, galaxies, shooting stars and planets, and a family riding Space Mountain in space. So they're on the ride. Now the pre-show features arguments, whether kids are old enough to go or not.
We did that.
And why do you think I mentioned it? Our first trip. At the end of the trip,
I thought he was too small.
At the end of the trip, I wanted to take our son, on Space Mountain, and I got yelled at. Isn't that right, James?
Oh my gosh! Again, you make me sound like such a terrible person.
You had your arms folded and you were stamping at your feet on the ground, out over you were at the picnic tables,
right,
beside the cars, and Indy race cars, and you were so mad that I was taking him.
Michael, please make sure he
No,
stays
you
still.
weren't. You were
Michael,
you were telling me you would not speak to me for the rest of the trip.
I'm not getting on the plane.
If I took our son on this horrible ride that he obviously wasn't ready for, and finally I put my foot down. I'm like, well, I'm just going to kill him then. I'm just taking him with me, and his head's going to fly off, and that's that. And I took Alexa and I took James, and we marched into that ride. You refused to come. You didn't come.
Nope. I sat out there and I enjoyed the band that was happening.
Sure you did.
I did. They were playing Earth, Wind, and Fire.
20 minutes later, there was a happy little boy who came out of that ride, having experienced something completely cool.
I kept thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I hope they're going to buckle him down. I hope he's going to hold on. Where's Michael seated? Michael, are you in front? Is he in the middle? Where's he going to be? I kept thinking,
I put him right up front.
Oh my God, my poor little boy. Oh, I'm glad I didn't go on. Oh my
So
gosh.
that's what happens in the just before you even get in the building now.
You see us.
That's right. And so also featured now are people taking giant moon steps. Mm-hmm. So nowadays they also have the video games in the queue, which in my experience are always just ending when you get up to them, in the in-between part, or just starting and then the line all of a sudden moves. And so you never actually get to play it. I don't know, I'm sure people here who are listening have a much better luck streak with it than I do. And then the other thing is if you have a fast pass, you're not in the right lane to play the games.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I'd rather have the fast pass than the games, but it is really cool that they give you that kind of entertainment when you're in queue, which Space Mountain can be a ridiculously long queue.
Right.
Like 120 minutes I've seen before.
And you can only look out of those pretend space windows so many times.
Exactly. I mean,
but like Michael had said, sometimes when those games are being used, the line's not moving because everybody's got to finish, and then the cycle will go by, then, as you say, the whole run of people will go up.
I've seen people. I've never seen somebody hold up the line to do it.
Yes, they did. Remember that woman did, and I went around her?
Yeah,
she got mad?
I've seen people let other people around while they're playing. Mm-hmm. But no, you definitely lose your spot in line if you just stand there and play the...
Well, that's what her son was, just standing there, and she was telling her to go, and I was like, okay, we waited long enough here, can we just go? And I just started walking.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to sit here and wait for her to finish or wait
As
for her
you should.
to finish.
I mean, it's not, you're not there to play the game.
Yeah, you didn't come there to go play the button.
You're there to get in the queue, and you have to move when the queue moves.
By the way, before you go on, I do want to say hi to Teresa Vester, because she did send me a little something. It was National Moscato Day a few days ago. So I am enjoying some Moscato right now, T.
Is there any day that they don't have something for it?
What do you care?
And who makes it up? Right? Who does that?
I don't know. Some winery. But go ahead. Continue on with what you're saying.
Some winery.
Winery,
So today is not National Moscato.
No, but it was a few days ago. So I just want to
who
acknowledge
decided that? Who designated
that I got the message, and I am
Are you sure it wasn't Moscato?
No, it wasn't Moscato, but that would be good.
That's much better, right?
That would be like
And
May Day.
What day sounds like Scotto?
Moscato. Or it could be Moscatober. Moscatober.
That's very good.
Yeah, Moscatober. There you are.
Then you could have a whole month.
Moscatember.
Well, so you have 2 months. You have Moscato and Moscatober.
Moscatober. All right, I'm going to remember that.
All right, wait, no, I'm done. I'm not done.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to interject where you said where the idea for this ride was Walt's. This is what I was telling you. But it took 11 years to find the location and a financial sponsor to build it. And also it said he wanted to build a roller coaster style ride, but in the dark, which no one had ever done before. And he wanted to have precise control of the lighting and to be able to project moving images on the interior walls, which they do. And just as Walt had wanted, they made most of the ride structure invisible to guests thanks to pinpoint lighting projectors, which do not reveal forms. You have to adjust your eyes to the lighting when you go in there. At least that's what I do. And I just totally relax myself, because I will say the first time I went on that thing, I didn't know what to expect. I had never been in a dark roller coaster and everything, but I feel a little nauseous from it. And then I was like, just ride with it, go with it. And that's how I get through it. So, and I love it. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, and then there are two lines at the very end where you can split and do the left track or the right track. I forget which one. One of them's like 10 feet longer than the other one. If you're really looking for that much extra ride, you can do that. I did find a note that in the 2009 refurb of it, they put a ceiling over that area, which kind of made me wonder, in relation to the comment you just made, kind of made me wonder if there wasn't a ceiling before. When you were on the ride, if you looked the correct way at any particular time, could you catch a glimpse of the queue. I know I never did. You're kind of looking forward.
But yeah, you're looking forward.
But if they put a ceiling, and I remember when you're standing in the queue when there was no ceiling, you could see the planet
right
that hangs in the middle of the two tracks.
Yeah.
So, and you could hear people screaming pretty much all through the entrance queue. You can hear people having a great time.
Well, I like when you're climbing up the tracks, right? When you go around, you're climbing up the tracks, and you'll have your left car and your right car. And I remember one time people were like, hey, let's race. But then you see like the space people hanging upside down,
right?
Like fixing the module or whatever they're doing.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you go up and you part your ways, and the ride starts.
Right.
And that just is such a cool thing. But it's like I like when you see the shooting stars as you're going around. That's a nice effect when you see that. It is nice. Yeah.
And it's always been that way. Because we rode that in 1974. It must have been our second trip. So, yeah, just before I turned old, I was just old enough to go on it.
Okay.
And I always asked my father what he thought of it, and he said, I don't know, they wouldn't let me wear my glasses.
Oh, your dad.
Yeah. But I don't think you need glasses to ride Space Mountain.
I don't think you do either. You do have to,
even if they make you take them off.
And you always take the front seat.
I like the front.
Because you like it.
Right.
But how does it feel when you're in front? Do you feel more of the ride when you're in the front? I think I feel more of it when I'm in the back.
Depends on the ride. Space Mountain.
Yeah, what do you mean? It depends. The ride's the ride. That's what I'm asking you.
No, because longer roller coasters have more of a whip in the back.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you're attached to more cars, then there's more pulling you. It's kind of, so when you go over a big edge, when you're in the lead, you see yourself going over the edge, and you anticipate it, and there's the thrill of that. When you're in the back, you get pulled over the edge.
Right? I've never thought of it that way
So
before.
when you go over that hump, there's a lot of G's trying to lift you up and out of the seat. It's cool.
I never thought of that before. Okay,
so there's something to be said for everywhere on the ride. And of course, the newer rides, they take that into account, and they kind of give everybody a good seat.
Give an example, from Busch Gardens?
Yeah, Busch Gardens, the one that you would never go on.
SheiKra.
SheiKra, yeah.
Yeah, you guys like that because I just don't like when it stops at the top.
You wouldn't know until you get on it.
I would know because I've seen it stop from the bottom.
Right,
so, but I don't want to know. I don't want to know going up there. I just don't like the way that ride starts.
Anyway, and then the post ride, since you can't really do a walkthrough of the ride itself, you go left, you go right, you go up, you go down, you go left, you go right, you go up, you down. You can't see anything. It's a lot of fun. The post ride used to feature kind of a Home of Tomorrow type show.
Oh, really?
Right. It was sponsored by RCA, like we said, but remember that was in Innovations. Remember, it was something like that. Remember, it used to have the Innovations where in the Home of Tomorrow there'll be a big screen on the floor that you have fake fish in, and things like that, or you can rake leaves on the thing, which is like in the day of the iPad, not really impressive at all. But
at one time it was.
Well, yeah, and this they still have the people mover, the moving walkway that you can bounce on and ride up, right? And so they have a lot of scenes there still. It's just they used to be RCA themed scenes and inside your house themed scenes. Now it's space type scenes and
the lady
colonies
sitting,
on Mars.
Lady sitting
like
under
you had
the
talked
dryer.
About. Right.
Getting her hair permed.
Right.
And her whole head's in the dryer,
Right, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then now it's more of a, buy your drinks at Pluto, whatever. And but interestingly enough, Nipper is still there.
Nipper, the RCA dog.
Yes, Nipper is still there. So a salute to the old days.
Yeah. Well, see, I think still people want to have that little bit of nostalgia, and
I think, but the neat thing is that it stands the test of time. Right?
Well, that's what I meant. It stands the test of time.
40 years on, and people still will wait 120 minutes to get on it.
That's true. They really will. That line will be out the door.
Which is a complete difference for me than the Matterhorn, where we got in on early extra magic hours. We rode it the one time. I had no desire to go back on it. It was clunky. It was bumpy. It was.
You didn't like it at all.
No.
And they had fixed it. That was like after their refurb out there, and you just thought it was like, this is it?
It was a mess.
I really thought it was going to be like you're going to go in the water more or something. That's what I was expecting.
The unfair part of that, in my case, is you're comparing it to California Screaming. And you're comparing it to Soarin' and,
but again,
the Cars
it's
ride.
Nostalgic.
And even the Indiana Jones ride out there. I mean, they have and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and Splash Mountain. There's so many great rides that are there now that, yes, I guess it's nostalgic. It's a shame they took the gondolas out.
Yeah.
Because the gondola used to go through there. You still see people climbing on it.
Yeah, we saw
Like
it
the old
a
days.
couple of summers ago. They were climbing up there.
Yep.
The alpine climbers.
That's right.
Well, did they
They're
ever
trying to win a prize on The Price is Right.
Well, did they ever say? I would love to get on that show. Did they ever say? In this book again, John Hench, Space Mountain looks a bit like Japan's Mount Fuji.
Oh, yeah.
The attraction was
That's a good
named
point.
for its mountain-like appearance and for the outer space effects of the ride itself. Okay, and also, along with this book, they have over here that when they first had the guests on the ride, get this, first guests taking the trip, they were middle-aged and laughing among themselves as they sat in their vehicle waiting to go. The person who's writing this went over to the exit where the ride ends to wait for them. As their vehicle came to a stop, there was dead silence.
Really?
Some seemed to be hyperventilating. One woman stirred first and got out of the car. She knelt down and loudly kissed the carpet.
Oh, my.
The others got out of the car and started up the exit ramp. The writer followed them about halfway up the ramp. They broke into spontaneous weak-in-the-knees laughter, patting each other on the back. So this ride, when it first came to be, had these reactions because, again, there was nothing like this.
Sure.
So,
Like I said,
and I
it
think it
stands
still
the test of
does
time.
have that
Architecturally,
kind of reaction to people.
As you see in our shows coming up picture, it's still pretty to look at. One of the best parts of the People Mover is where you're going through Space Mountain itself, and you hear
You see the
how
car.
how they incorporate it. You hear people on the ride. That's something that they don't do anymore that they used to do all the time. That I kind of miss. So the original designs of these things, where they had gondolas going through the Matterhorn, they had the People Mover going through Space Mountain. They incorporated rides into other rides, which in the new in Bell's area, there's nothing like that.
No.
So they had a chance. They're building the new park. They had a chance, and they didn't say, well, let's have the Dwarves Mine Ride go through the restaurant. Maybe Avatar will.
Maybe
they've gone back to that concept.
But see, I think it's also where
Probably
people
costs
have
a
to
lot to
keep.
do
It
that.
costs a lot to do, but people they want to keep up the times. They want to keep up. Well, if we do this, people might get tired of this. Why do people still go over to the Carousel of Progress? Because it's the original. It's what's left. It's hokey. People make fun of it,
As they should.
But as they should. But it'll be
never-
there. I mean, that's basically, I guess, to keep it there in a homage to Walt Disney.
So look at this this first model.
I'm looking at it. So.
This first model that they put on.
Right.
It'll be in the show notes. And you can see there's the People Mover going through the
Right. Oh, that's
park.
cool.
Even
That's
even
cool.
as they first put it together with paper,
And there's the roller coaster.
they knew they had that idea, incorporating
Very neat.
two things, which I think they should still be doing.
Yeah.
Because it is cool. I think you needed Walt's vision to do this, right? That was kind of his thing. Where you're right. There's a restaurant in the middle of Pirates of the Caribbean.
What is it? In the Mexican Pavilion, there's a restaurant that you go by on those little gondolas,
Oh, sure.
right?
Right.
Which we've never eaten there, by the way.
No, we haven't.
But, yeah, you might think that they would have done something like that, but who knows?
Yeah, maybe they just do it once per park.
Maybe. Well, honey, this has been interesting. I'm glad you found all that information. I'm just trying to think one more thing, just to tell you the color concepts in Space Mountain and Walt Disney World. The ride's dark space sets up the special effect. The pinpoint projectors that conceal the track's support structure give guests the thrill of zooming through space. So the whole concept of what Walt had wanted, a dark ride and having that feeling of going through space.
That's right. And James had a first on that ride, as I recall.
You're telling me something that happened?
Well, you know how you do when it's time to take the pictures when you're on the ride, you make a good face, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, right.
He had an idea, and I was so proud of him when he came out. He had done this on his own. This was like our third trip. He brought his toothbrush.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Every time he would go past the thing, he would be brushing his teeth. And we got on, the Space Mountain was the first ride we rode that year. And we got off, and the guy, stopping you from taking pictures with your own thing said, I've never seen that before, and let him take a picture of it.
Oh, do we have that? Does he
Yes.
still have it? Oh, we've got to post that.
Yeah, that trip, we have pictures of him brushing his teeth on every ride.
My gosh, I forgot all about that, honey. Thanks for
And
bringing
that
up.
guy had seen, 100,000 people come off the ride? And
Oh, I love when you see some of the pictures that are posted of people with board games. That's really crazy.
That's going too far.
Yeah, that's going a little too far. And how exactly do you
Are you
tell
really
them
on the
now?
ride for the ride's sake at that point?
Well, don't forget a replay of the show is tonight at 8 p.m. on Sorcerer Radio. Also, like all of the pages on Facebook, Sorcerer Radio, the Sorcerer Radio Disney Fun Zone, and the Disney Trip Tips Facebook page. And the summer of Sorcerer Radio does continue later on this month. May 29th, the event is the Pandora Opening Week Pandora Meet and Greet at Rivers of Light Viewing, the location at the Animal Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Jeff and Sorcy are going to be your hosts. We are going to be in Disneyland the week of June the 20th, and it's going to be a Disneyland social. Michael and I will be there. For July 13th, it is a D23 pre-party at Disneyland. Bubba and
Or
Steve
we could
will
have
be
it
there.
inside the park and we could say, it's okay, they won't fingerprint you.
Okay, are you done?
If you're worried.
All right.
You should be.
September 2nd, the event will be at Disney Parks Podcast Meet at the Bay Lake Tower Contemporary Resort at Walt Disney World Resort, 1 until 3 p.m. Aljon, Kristen, and Tony will be there. It is tickets for this event. They can be purchased at eventbrite.com.
Where do they run?
I do not know. They will have to look them up. Again, this information is posted at the Disney Trip Tips Facebook page, and also go to srsounds.com, and you can see the entire list of the summer of Sorcerer Radio. And we'll certainly have a few giveaways for everyone
You should have gotten out
to
your
enjoy,
Hidden
too.
Mickey book. I've never found a Hidden Mickey in Space Mountain.
I'm sure there's one there. You have that book.
I'm just talking about in the ride itself. I think I've seen them in the queues.
Right.
But if you were going to put a...
How could you even look? How fast? That
That's
would
the
be
challenge,
the fun part.
right?
Oh
That's
my
the
gosh.
challenge, right? You take your...
Yes.
You get your picture taken and you find a Hidden Mickey?
Okay. Again, replay of the show tonight, 8
In a
p.m. on
glass.
Sorcerer Radio.
Empty,
Do like all the
mostly.
Facebook pages and follow us on Twitter at Disney Trip Tips. That's going to do it for us. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. And what are we going to be talking about then? Which attraction? Have you decided yet?
No, I'm not going to... I think you need to be the reactioner on that.
I need to be. I do react.
Okay, well,
what
let's
the
come up with
heck are you talking about
let's come
now?
up with one right now. So we've done Fantasyland and we've done Tomorrowland. It's time for something in Frontier.
Adventureland. Okay,
Oh.
let's do.
You know what? Let's get a boring one out of the way.
Oh gosh.
No, you want to do something in
I don't care. I don't care. You
Adventureland?
pick. You pick.
I think Adventureland. So you're going into the park. The kids all want to get to Fantasyland. The teenagers all want to get to Tomorrowland. What's the third place you go? Frontierland. Right?
Frontierland. I know what. We'll put it to a vote.
Oh,
How
good
about
idea.
that? Okay, we'll put it to
all
a
right,
vote.
so there's the three
Go
choices.
to the Disney Trip Tips Facebook page. We'll post it on there. Which topic?
Here's the three choices.
Of
You get
the- of
Big
the
Thunder Mountain
attractions.
Railroad,
What do you want to
Splash
talk
Mountain, or Haunted Mansion.
about? Okay, so Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Oh God, I'm saying it like you. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Splash Mountain, or the Haunted Mansion. Again, we're talking about past and present and maybe even future about these.
The Haunted
particular
Mansion's an
attractions.
original, right? So
Yeah,
if
so-
we want to go back to original, that's a good place to go.
All right, meet us here next week. But replay tonight, 8 p.m. Have a great weekend.
Ocho.
See ya. Sorcerer Radio, srsounds.com. I said that backwards. See ya.
Post